Those who think that mortenax Blade's kit will be butchered to bits when the V3 comes, it's wrong, guys. Turn out it's not going to happen. This update is a little bit weird. Version 3 of 4.3 beta dropped on Saturday, and it's for mortenax Blade. I thought it was going to come out on next Tuesday or Wednesday, but so yeah, let's just get straight into it and talk about all the changes he got in this version. Here in this video, I also want to discuss the changes to the new relics, since this might be important info too. Like and subscribe to support Cat Bolony, and if you have done that, let's get this video started. At first, I thought since the timing was pretty tight, we would only get a few small tweaks, but nope, there are actually quite a lot of changes here. Even though it's just one character, since 4.3 only has one unit, I can say most of these are buffs. There's basically no nerfs, so it's not really balancing, but there's one change that's pretty surprising. For some people, it might actually like a big nerf, and we will get into that in a bit. As for the version 3 changes, this includes updates to mortenax Blade's kit and also his signature light code. And yep, even the DLC got changed. Let's start with the kit first. His skill, now it only consumes 10% of Blade's max HP, before it was 15%. So that's like a 5% reduction. Everything else, like the multipliers, stays the same, no changes there. Maybe just clearer wording in the description, like they now stated that Blade cannot use his skill outside of his enhance or special state. That's why I got confused when I saw his showcases back then, like why the hell he can't use his skill when entering the battle. It turned out they clarified things in this version. Next is ultimate. First thing, there were some errors in version 2. Now Balefire Bind stays exactly the same from version 1 to version 3. Still lasts 2 turns, no change at all there. But the HP consumption, that changed again. It used to take 30% max HP when deploying the zone, now it's only 20%. That's pretty big drop, 10% less. Other multipliers didn't change, just the HP cost. Now for the second ultimate, the one when the zone is active, this one actually got buffed. The multiplier increased by 50%. It used to be 300% AoE from max HP. Now it's 350% from Blade's max HP. So yeah, that should feel pretty noticeable. Moving on to his talent, there's new clarification. To activate the extra skill or the follow-up attack, Blade's HP has to be above 1. If it's exactly 1, it won't trigger. This was not clearly stated before, so I'm not sure if this is a new rule or if it's always like this and just not written. Also, the extra skill that didn't consume HP before, that part seems to be gone. I checked and the no HP cost line is no longer there, so it looks like now it does consume HP. Maybe this is their way of balancing out the reduced HP cost from the skill and the zone. Now let's talk about traces. First one, his A4. This got buffed. When the zone is active, Blade becomes more likely to be targeted. On top of that, he now takes 50% less damage and gets 50% more incoming healing. That's actually huge. The next trace, his Ascension 6, this one is also buff. But there's a catch. So first, the good part, the ultimate damage buff for other Nihility units increased from 50% to 75%. That's great news, especially for characters like Acheron. But the follow-up attack damage bonus is gone. And this is the surprising part I mentioned earlier, 50% follow-up attack damage, now that's replaced. If there are no other Nihility units, mortenax Blade himself gets 75% damage bonus instead. So the follow-up attack buff did not actually disappear, it got moved. And not to Eidolon 1, it got moved to the Eidolon 2. I don't think that's really a bad thing, considering Blade himself still a very good debuffer up until now. But if you are planning to go for E2, it's actually pretty big buff. So let's talk about E2. The changes here are pretty massive. First, the extra skill damage buff is gone. The additional charge from follow-up attacks is also removed. Now the effect is reworked. When the character deals damage with their ultimate, it counts as follow-up attack damage. And on top of that, follow-up attack damage dealt to enemies is increased by 75%. So yeah, that follow-up attack buff got moved from the trace into E2. That's the main point here. He can still convert allies' ultimate damage into follow-up attacks, so whenever a teammate uses their ultimate and it deals damage, it still counts as a follow-up attack. The difference now is he no longer gets the extra charge from it, which honestly hurts his old infinite loop playstyle, but at the same time that issue is basically fixed now. Instead, the effect is simplified. Allies just get straight 75% increase to the damage they deal, so it's more of a direct buff overall. His E1 stays the same, while E2 is where the bigger change happens. It's basically a stronger version now. He also loses the 50% skill buff and the damage bonus that used to come from his talent. So the new E2 still keeps the effect where allies' ultimate damage is treated as follow-up attacks, but now it also adds a flat 75% damage increase for the whole team. The rest of his eidolons remain unchanged. Now let's move on to his light cone. First change, max HP bonus increased from 24% to 30%. That's a 6% increase at Super Position 1. Then there's a slight rework to the energy regen. Before it gave 20 energy at the start of every wave. Now it gives 20 energy at the start of the user's turn, but it only triggers once per wave. So basically it's almost the same. The only difference is timing. Before you get the energy immediately when entering a new wave, now you have to wait until Blade takes turn. But overall, it's still 20 energy per wave, but in my own personal opinion, his light cone is still not worth it and still weak. So those are all the changes in version 3. Overall, he might not be really suitable for follow-up attacks archetype anymore, but he does not seem to be bad at all if you pair him with Ashfell, even with a little nerf. Since Blade is still a great debuffer after all, and Ashfell himself already has tons of damage buff in his kit. So I guess the nerf is not that noticeable. From this update, it shows that he's going to be Acheron's best in slot pair now, after knowing that he offers 75% ultimate damage bonus to her. Because of this, I'm pretty sure Acheron's Mova Flare will come really soon. She better get out from her graveyard like really quick since his base pair is going to come out soon. And then in V1, his taunt mechanic was good, but it turned out that his revival ability was kinda bad. He could only recover himself once he died, but then his update brings him more damage reduction, as well as more incoming healing bonus. So you would still need a healer, and making him the sustain might not always be a wise option. It's clear that the developers don't want him to be the sustain in the team, or should I say, a sustainless team. Most of these are buffs, but for some people, especially if you are staying at E0, this follow-up attack change might feel like a pretty painful nerf. If you compare version 1 to version 3, it's honestly a huge buff overall, but the downside is that the follow-up attack bonus now is locked behind E2. At E0, you basically don't have that buff anymore. If you go for E2 though, it's a completely different story, it becomes a big buff again, and for mortenax Blade as a main DPS, it's also a buff, especially because of that 75% damage bonus from the talent when there are no other non-hero units. When I first read the changes, I was like, wow, everything's like got buff. But then I kept going, and suddenly the follow-up attack buff got pushed to E2. Also, just to mention again, the extra charge from follow-up attack is completely gone, so now all his charge generation comes from his base kit. Outside of the follow-up attack issue, this kit feels more like balancing, or maybe a slight nerf depending on your setup. For example, if you want to pair him with Castoris, reduced SP consumption means less HP drain, which also means less charge for Castoris. And since Blade now takes less damage, that also lowers HP loss. But at least the healing got buffed by 50%, so it can balance out. That said, not many people are actually running that combo anyway, so it's not a huge deal. The biggest impact is definitely on follow-up attack builds, especially if you are only going for E0. That part is honestly kinda sad to see. Maybe it changes again in version 4, who knows, but since they already moved it like this, it really feels like they want to lock that power behind E2. And yeah, this probably has something to do with future characters. And then let's discuss the change made for the new relics. I discussed this like a couple of days ago in one of my videos where I summarized the things that happened in V3 beta. The change turned out to be a drastic one. Before, when the wearer is ultimate, it increases their ultimate damage by 18% and stack up to 3 times, which means it gives you 54%. So this could be a great alternative for Acheron's relic and even units like Argenti, but they changed to this. When the wearer enter the combat or use their skill, their ultimate damage is still increased by 18% and also stacking up to 3 times, but at the start of the wearer's turn or after using ultimate, 1 stack got removed from this effect. When you think about it, this actually contradicts a theory where Himeko SP is gonna have an ultimate spamming in her kit. But the part that might confuse some people is how you lose stacks when the wearer's turn starts. So it's like this, maybe Himeko SP later on will have a kit like Archer, where she is able to continuously spam her skill, probably 3 times at most if we are reflecting it in this passive. By then, you already get your 54% ultimate damage, and then at some point where her ultimate is ready, you finish off your enemy with it. So spam skill 3 times, then ult. So losing 1 stack at the start of your turn is not even a problem here, since Himeko will use her skill 2 or 3 more times for each turn anyway. So I think this is the most logical explanation of how her kit will look like in the future. But still, things might be different. This is just my personal assumption. If you think about it, other than Himeko, I think this set is potentially a bit upgrade for Finan, but I don't really know about it. Do you guys have any thoughts about this? So that's all for today's V3 changes. Blade is shaping up to be a great debuffer, especially for Acheron, and we hope to see her Nova Flare soon, possibly in 4.4. Blade is still good for Ashfell despite the nerf, and other than Blade, we finally can take a closer look at Himeko SP's kit because of the relic changes. So far, what do you guys think about this V3? Please share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button, turn notification as well so you won't be missing out on any of my Star Rail content. I'll see you guys on my next one. Bye bye!